Hey, you guys. I've missed you. Have you missed me? I only come on here, you guys, when I definitely have a nudge to speak on something, and I have something to speak on today. We're going to talk about 15 reasons why people go back to a narcissist. All right. It really didn't take me that long to come up with this list, literally 10 minutes, if that. So it may not be all encompassing, but I'm pretty sure that it will have all the big dogs. So if you are in the healing process and you're doing some self-reflection about the cycles of abuse you may have tolerated or put up with, maybe, this will add some insight if you haven't connected the dots, or if you're witnessing someone else stay in this type of relationship and you just don't get it. This is definitely a live chat that will help you understand that. All right. So with that being said, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and jump in on what I came up with. The first thing, you guys, is the duplicity nature of a narcissist. When people think of a narcissist, they really just think of a horrible person. And they just think of all the negative things that a narcissist does. But in honesty, an abusive person can definitely be duplicit. And this is how they're able to actually keep abused people on the rope, by doing little acts of kindness for the wrong reasons, but nonetheless, they're doing these things. So understanding the duplicity or the duplicit nature of a narcissist, and this is proven in a cycle of abuse anyway, where we're starting off with what? Being love bombed, and we're ending it with being devalued and discarded. So that's the duplicity nature right there. So sometimes those good deeds and those acts, those Stockholm syndrome, like energy, basically, them reminding you of the acts of kindness that they supposedly did out of their heart to try to create this self-doubt inside of you, to make that murky in your mind about how you're perceiving this person in actuality. Because it's one thing to make something look good or to act like you're doing something out of the kindness of your heart. Meanwhile, you don't want a spiritual reward. You want an ego reward. You want a control reward. You want to control the narrative reward. So yes, this is a big one, you guys, that really confuses a lot of people at times, especially when the narcissist may be strong in one area and not another. For instance, let's say it's a woman with a male narcissist and he takes care of all the bills, but he's beating on her, he's doing all this other stuff. In some instances, people get confused. They're like, well, he takes care of me. He provides a roof over my head. He makes sure I have food. But, you're going to have to put up with the verbal abuse, being physically, maybe sexually exploited, and all these other things, demean, that comes with it. So the duplicit nature of a narcissist, it can rope a person back, especially, when you're already psychologically, what would the word be for it? I want to say mind fuck, but just psychologically stressed. Maybe we'll put it that way. So that's number one. Number two, the fake apologies, of course. But in order for these fake apologies to work, there has to be some sort of false hope or delusional thinking on the other person's side as well. So if this person is bringing roses and a gift and, making it look good, maybe even crocodile tears, this fake apology is feeding the other person's desire to want to have hope and want to believe, and not being in that, the other person not really being in a position of acceptance, because there's a whole grieving process, not just for death and dying, but for just letting go of things in life, period, you guys. And there's confirmation from my phone. So if you haven't gotten to the point of acceptance, you're going to, that drop of hope of this fake apology is all you're going to need to convince yourself to, go ahead on in for another cycle of abuse. All right. Number three, you guys, leading with spiritual and psychological ties and addictions. So this is a big one. This is umbrella right here that I created. And yes, it will house under it the trauma bonds, the soul ties, and codependency. So, of course, if you have sex with this person again, if you fall for their love bomb, if you guys have any shared addictions, these are vices. Of course, you're getting high off of these things. And of course, that's going to rope you back in. You know, what codependency is not being able to handle rejection and abandonment feeling, but that's coming from, you know, a toxic perception that's incorrect. You need to be rejected by abusive people. Like, they need to feel uncomfortable in your energy. They should not want to be near me because I have too strong of a boundaries. They cannot do their thing with me. Yes, I reject you. You reject me. We're all good. I abandon you. You abandon me. We're all good. We're on different levels, honey. So, you know, but the trauma bond and those soul ties, and like I said, the vices and addictions, that could definitely rope a person back in. Which is why when people are breaking addictions, which is the narcissist paradigm with the empath is an addiction, that's why they have to go no contact. They can't hang around those other people. Like if they were quitting alcohol and drugs, they don't need to be around it, at least not at first, until you build up some type of resistance to it. But when we're talking about narcissistic abuse, that's a little bit different than an object. You know, this is someone who is psychologically abusing you, and you don't need to be around that person's energy. It's just not good for your energy, period. So number 4, or is it number 4? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, number 4. Future faking and false promises. Now, this could have went under apologies, but not quite. But if someone is promising you the moon and stars yet again, you know, whatever it was that you wanted, they're going to give it to you, but they're not. And if they do, it won't be sincerely. So, yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory, the future faking and the false promises. They could be promising you they're going to marry you or something and just never do it. Or promising you this long-term relationship when they know they're going to be discarding you again in another couple of weeks. So, yeah. And you'll feel, or they'll future fake you back in to get something from you and juggle you with a supply and be letting you go right away. Like, what? Like, I came back in for this? Yeah, that's what you're subjecting yourself to, which kind of ties into the next one, you guys, which is triangulation. Yeah. Triangulation, you know, this can only work on someone who has a toxic perception themselves. This can invoke this jealousy inside of you, and it can psychologically make you feel like, well, someone else will get the fantasy that I thought I was going to get. The narcissist is going to be a better person for them, or they're going to do all the things that I wanted them to do with me with them, or someone else is agreeing to it, so maybe they're not that bad, or they're already with someone else. They must be a hot commodity. No, they probably already knew this person, right? They're already seeing this person behind your back or have them at their fingertip. So, yeah. But with the triangulation, to invoke that jealousy and that lack mentality, like there's billions of people in the world. You don't have to play games with a person that didn't appreciate having access to your energy. So the next one, you guys, could be a toxic village or ill advice or peer pressure or basically community pressure. So this could be the narcissist maybe convincing other people that there's the opposite of what you're saying, and these people are trying to get people on your team because they never seen the narcissist in a certain light that you have. And that's the whole thing, you guys. You know what you know. You deal with this person on a level that other people don't. So a toxic village, you know, oh, you got a good man. He's paying all your bills, although, you know, all these other things are going on behind the scenes here. So ill advice and this peer pressure, and just it could be stuff like I miss mommy, I miss daddy. Your kids could even be invoking this inside of you. You're feeling like you're breaking up this home when you're not the one really breaking it up. Because we have to look at the, what would I call it? The symptom versus the root of the problem. The symptom of you leaving, that's not the root of the problem, you leaving. The narcissism or this person's toxicity is the root of the problem. Okay. So the next one, you guys, just being too beaten down, honestly, or too weak-minded with your warped perceptions at this time. And this is, when you wait too long or you do so many cycles of abuse and you're just drained and you start really feeding into the toxicity and you're like, well, this is the best I can get. Or depression, which is a mental illness, one that people don't really take as seriously as they should. But yeah, depression is starting to, grow or heighten with you, or you'll think stuff like, well, who wants this broken version of me? You just feel so beaten down because these people really are energy vampires and they're feeding off of your light. The next one, you guys, is believing that it's love. Yeah, but I love him, but we love each other. Love doesn't hurt, you guys. Love is not toxic. It's not. Toxic is toxic. So it'll baffle you probably by the time you do the actual work and really reflect back on the situation and see that it wasn't love at all. Because when we're talking about a narcissist, we're really just talking about control. That's what they want. They're not loving you. They're trying to control you. Control is not love. Okay. And then you might even realize that you weren't actually loving them. You may have been operating out of some fears of, and operating out of codependency. That isn't love either, you guys. So you might find, although you thought you did, at the end of the day, neither one of you may have been operating out of love. It's possible. And if you were operating out of love, there's a lot of murky toxicity mixed in there with it. Okay, for sure. So what was really fueling that relationship and that connection? All right. So the next one, you guys, is lack of confidence. Yeah, because you could feel certain about the past and not the future. And this is where somebody might say a known devil is better than an unknown one. But why you got to be with the devil at all? And I know that kind of stems from we're not perfect people, but it don't have to be the devil per se, But when we go through change, you guys, we're moving out of our comfort zone. So feeling lost, not having a direction, because even though it's toxic, you guys had a pattern in that relationship and that becomes something comfortable, unfortunately. That can come back to bite you in the butt, okay? Now, this next one, you guys, is pretty deep. This next one is pretty deep. Some people actually go back to the narcissist to make their life feel easier. Like they might literally feel like their life got worse. Why? Because that narcissist might turn up the abuse. They're turning up the drama. They're turning up a smear campaign. Their ego is bruised, or they got a narcissistic fit or a narcissistic injury, and people might actually feel like it was easier when I was with their ass, and you feel a little bit beat into submission. There's confirmation right there. But yeah, it's sometimes a narcissist will try to make your life a living hell when you leave them. And for some people, that might actually beat them into a certain type of submission that will psychologically make them go back to the narcissist. And that's really messed up. But that's, power that you have to give them. This is only going to work on people who still care what the narcissist think, who are running off of their emotions over logic, for instance. Hey, Heather. And she has a question that's kind of like tied into this one. She says, did you ever go through anger and bitterness when you started healing? Absolutely. Absolutely, Heather. Because you get angry because, the veil is off your eyes and you start realizing things, great and small, that you may not have picked up on when you were running off of the illusions and delusions, or, things hadn't come full circle to you. So yeah, you're going to start feeling anger because you're going to see the amount of manipulation, how this person was using you and playing you really hard right in front of your face, like just playing all over your face. Yes, honey. I personally have felt anger in the past when I've, had these light bulb moments, as far as the anger part. But it's what you do with it. It's not, feeling angry is not a bad thing. People give anger a bad name when it's really what people do with their anger that becomes the good or bad thing. Like you're allowed to feel anger. That's a human emotion, and it serves its purpose. It actually lets you know that you understand that someone has offended you. Someone has crossed your boundaries. Someone has been disrespectful. Someone isn't who you thought they were, And as far as the bitterness, now bitterness, I'm not big on the bitterness part. Anger, yes. Bitterness, not so much. But I can understand where people can feel bitter, especially when they feel like they've invested and they've given so much of themselves to a very undeserving, ungrateful, abusive, toxic ass person. Absolutely. It's especially for these higher level commitments. And like I said, you give, bend, try. It could definitely make you feel bitter. But just because you're feeling bitter doesn't mean you have to stay in that energy. Keyword is feelings. Like you're feeling these things, you can dissect them. Like, why do I feel bitter? Do I feel like I gave the best years of my life to this person? Did you really? Like, that's something to really consider, because if that version of you didn't even recognize the abuse or wasn't strong enough to step out of it at that point, like really the better version of yourself is when you're actually able and strong enough to get away and take the wisdom. You've just elevated. My phone is confirming us right now. Like they really didn't get the best part of you. You don't have to feel bitter. And it's really their loss because they took that for granted. And they're never going to get it again. So good luck, buddy, because you're not replaceable. As much as you might see them with this person and that person, look at all these confirmations, Heather. They're never going to be able to tap into you again because there's only one you. So if anyone should feel bitter, it should be that other person. You don't have to feel better because you still have your love and light. And now it's all inside of you. And you'll be more discerning about who's going to tap into that moving forward, and that'll be that. But yeah, when you first start healing, and that's a key word as well, you first start, you're all over the place. But as long as you are prepared with that, and throughout the years, I've made so many videos on giving people realistic expectations on the healing process in the beginning, because you're not going to feel that great. But it's not about how you're feeling. It's about your logic of what you know how to do. The same thing if I need to get my behind in the gym, I might not feel that great when the trainer's busting my ass for the first few weeks and I'm out of breath and I'm this and that. I'm not feeling good, but it's still good for me. And if we can get that mature, then we're tapping into our emotional maturity. Just like if I'm used to getting high, I'm used to getting drunk. Of course, I'm going through a withdrawal. My flesh is crying out for these old toxic behaviors. My trauma bond, my soul tie, it's craving because, we have a human body that's separate from our soul, although it's housing our soul and spirit. And it kind of wants its own thing. And that's why they say a man has two brains, right? His down there can be wanting something, but mentally he knows he shouldn't be going near that woman. So we can understand the feelings versus the fact, the feelings versus the logic, the feelings in the flesh versus my higher and greater good. We start being accountable for ourselves in that way and denying ourselves because, when we're in those type of relationships, we're not denying ourselves appropriately. And that allows us to deepen these toxic bonds with these people. We might be a little bit too fleshful, a little bit too given into our shadow side, basically. So now it's like, I know you exist because we all have duality within us, a light and a dark side, but which one are you going to allow to lead? You really do get to decide. And even if it causes you some discomforts initially, it won't be long lasting, and eventually you'll be so glad, like, I'm so glad I never slept with that person again. I'm so glad I didn't go back for more bullshit. Like later on, you're going to like literally be thanking yourself for the things that you didn't give into on your lower level desires, basically, So Heather says, hello, I'm processing all of this from his earliest childhood. Yeah. And I've talked about this on the channel as well, you guys. The original narcissist is usually never that person that you end up making a friend or, going into that romantic relationship with, or your narcissistic boss. That's usually not the first narcissist. It's usually somebody from your childhood that got it going and made you a little bit more susceptible, particularly for, bonding in those long-term relationships. And Heather says, thank you, I'm learning. Yes, we're all learning, including me. I do know a lot, but I know that we don't use all of our brain and nobody knows everything. So I'm constantly feeding myself as well, Heather. And when I feed myself, I feed you guys. Each one teach one. So let's go ahead and continue down the list. But I was talking about how people go back to the narcissist, honey. And this is crazy, right? Because they try to make your life a living hell. They make you feel uncomfortable. Like I said, the smear campaign, up in the drama and different stuff, or making it hard for you to get money that they owe you, and just making your life feel like a living hell. Some people will actually go back and submit, especially when it's like a marriage or those type of relationships. People can get real manipulative in that way, in that space. So the next one that I have, you guys, is if a narcissist actually convinces you that you're the bad guy. Like basically they flip the script on you. And, if your emotional maturity hasn't evolved enough, or they'll pick something that you might have did. Maybe you raised your voice. So what, child? Okay, maybe you said a curse word. Maybe you threw their clothes on the lawn. I don't know. Like, they'll pick something to try to make you equally responsible for whatever the situation is. So if they can kind of like level the playing field with you and make you take accountability or more accountability for the situation than you should, then that's definitely gives them a crack to be able to rope you back in. And some people fall for this. All right. So that's manipulation right there. All right. The next one, you needing closure from them. Yeah, that's a big one. Never try to seek closure from a narcissist. Number one, you're breaking no contact. Okay. Number two, they're not looking to give that to you at all. If anything, if you break the no contact, they'll try to use that situation to either rope you back in or hurt you in some type of way. Or either way, they're still hurting you. It's just the other one is they're going a roundabout way of still hurting you by eating up more time in your life and, continuing the BS with you. But you needing or seeking closure from a narcissist could definitely rope you back in, because you're going back in to have this final conversation where this person pours their heart out for you, not, unrealistic expectations for the source that you're talking to here. You got to keep in mind the source, right? But you needing to do that, trying to treat them like they're not a narcissist, like it's a regular relationship that you're just trying to, have this adult conversation that you never could have while you were actually with them. Look, we have to think about this. But either way, they're slithery. So you come back to do that and somehow you guys end up in the bed having sex. Or somehow you're back together. Somehow, there's some type of word soup or something's going on, and somehow it ain't what it was. So it's better to just get out of Dodge and stay there. I appreciate you too, Heather, and all your support for the channel. Another reason, you guys, that people get roped back in with a narcissist is numbness. Yeah, and this is a big deal, actually. When you have numbness, you're basically more prone to minimizing someone's behavior. So, let's say a woman that would say, I would never be with a man that hits me. So the first time he hits her, it is going to feel the strongest and most painful to her, to tell you the truth. It's the biggest shock, and maybe she'll leave and maybe she won't. But when we study domestic violence, people tend to leave after 8 times, which is, whoa, that sounds like a lot, right? So if you're getting that much exposure to abuse, you start minimizing it and it doesn't feel as bad. Like, oh, well, he only pushed me. Oh, he only smacked me. He didn't punch me. Or he didn't leave a mark. I'm not bleeding. I didn't break a bone. So when that type of mentality comes into the picture, you could definitely end up staying with the person. He was just having a bad day, right? We start minimizing the behaviors then. So the next one, you guys, that I have on the list here was you weren't really planning to leave for real. You were trying to teach the narcissist a lesson, which is very dangerous. Like, if you feel like discarding them, you're trying to punish them, you're trying to handle them, I'll show them, but you really weren't actually exiting out permanently. Does that make you any better than a narcissist at this point? I don't know, but it's definitely playing a very dangerous game there. You're just inviting to do a bunch of cycles of abuses there. So, yeah, you're willingly doing, like, let's add toxicity now. I'm going to be doing it from my side. You'll be doing it from your side. And we all see couples like this who are doing cycles of abuses on each other. It doesn't necessarily make you a narcissist, but it does make you toxic. It does make you toxic, you guys. So that was the 15 things. For anyone that just hopped in, you guys can go back and re-listen. But I hope that this upload helps someone to not go back, or to be able to recognize what's making them go back, so that you can correct yourself, or, not fall victim in future, possible encounters, or toxic people that you have to walk away from. Because even though I'm saying with narcissists, this could really be for any relationship, but is more dangerous when you're doing it with them, of course. All right. I love you guys. I have like so many creative projects going on right now, and books. I'm doing a lot of self-help books for you guys at this time. I'm literally, once they're done, I'll let you guys know. I can't talk too much about it because I have stalkers and copycats, and sometimes you just have to guard your creativity, because there's knockoffs out there. But I love you guys, and I commend anyone who's actually stepped away. This is a great community and a channel to help you stay away. My videos are great reinforcement and great for your shadow work and self-awareness. Welcome to my channel. For the new people, make sure you hit a like and subscribe if you want to be around for any more uploads. Hit the bell, of course. I come on here sporadically. You're always welcome to, recommend topics that you would like for me to talk on. I'm really good about it. When I'm on these live chats, it just works well for my lifestyle. I really don't like to edit. So I'm like, you know what? I could just come on live and have the conversation with you guys. It's easy for me. I interact with you guys. It's a win-win. If you have any questions or concerns about your situation, I'm going to leave the live chat open right now. You're welcome to ask a question. I'll answer it if I can to my best ability. Use me. That's why I'm here. So I'll give that a couple of minutes before I officially end this live. I don't see any hands raised. If you're feeling bashful, you can email me at coachlakia@gmail.com. Aw. Right. Whew. All right, you guys. Well, I love you. I don't see any messages. You can record back and listen to the 15 reasons why people go back to the narcissist. And stay blessed, you guys, and take care. And I will definitely see you guys in the live chat, God willing.